Welcome to iOS Developer Course, dedicated 100% to developing mobile apps for iPhone and iPad. This course is split into three series or sections. One, Xcode 4.4, which is the IDE. We'll look at it in detail into how to get it, how to run it inside out. It's absolutely essential to be a good programmer in iOS. Second, we'll move to Objective-C, which is the programming language behind developing iOS applications, and we'll look at all aspects of it. Number three is Cocoa Touch. It's a library, a setup, a framework developed by Apple to make applications. For example, a grid view, a button on a form. When you click on a button, it goes to the next form and all that kind of stuff. Needless to say, a lot of effort goes into making of these videos. So this is Xcode 4. It has a number of areas and they are not clear to explain, so I decided to split them up, dissect them. Here we are, so you can see them. On the top is Toolbar area, Navigator, Editor, Utility, and Debug. We'll look at them next, one by one, what they can do for you, and each and every feature of it, so you know them like the back of your hand. So let's talk about how to get Xcode, how to install it, and how to put it on the dock so it's easy to access. As you know, there's an App Store in your Mac. So you go to App Store, type Xcode, and right here it says install, but for you it will say free, and you click on it and it'll download it for you. And then you look at the downloads area and it'll be right here, one of these files. You click on it and it'll go through the installation process and install just like any other a Mac app that you might have done before. Now once you have it, you can go to Finder, Applications, and you will see it down there. Now from here you can click with your mouse and drag it onto your dock. I've already done that right there. So this time after you have done this, it'll be easily accessible from the dock. My dock is on the left side. Usually it's down at the bottom, always visible. So you click on it, and if you have existing applications, of course you will see a list, and you can pick one of the existing projects, or what you do is if you want to create a new project, you come over here and select create new project. And there are some other options also, but these are the mostly used. You either want to create a new project or you have an existing one. I have an existing one, so I'm going to click it, click open, and it'll open up in here. Now on very top we said that this is the toolbar area. Of course this is the close button, minimize button, and the green button which will expand it or shrink it to a less than full screen size. Now here is the run button, a very tricky button that you will see in a second. Usually it says run down there, and if you have a project and you click it, it'll launch the simulator. You see how there are messages here? So that is the messages area, and it says that it's running gas station application. So I'm gonna just behind the screen, it opened it up. This is the iPhone simulator, and it launches my application in there. First time it'll do that, you will have to put in admin password if you are not running under a super user or admin password. So I'm going to type that in. There's a little caveat and annoyance that a new beginner might not know. And it'll launch that application up there. I have nothing in that application, of course, just a blank screen. Now here you can either quit the iOS simulator, or let me show you another way. I'm going to run it again. Build succeeded, messages, it opened up behind the screen. This time it went faster if you noticed. Now I'm going to click back in here on the Xcode user interface, and the next button was stop. So if I click it, it'll stop running my code into the simulator. It says finish running gas station application. So these two are connected, and this stop is also connected. So run, stop, messages are all connected to each other, so you gotta keep an eye open for that. Now if you noticed, I clicked on run and it opened it up in a iPhone simulator. So what this one does, if I click it, I can select iPad or iPhone simulator. So I'm going to click iPad simulator this time. Click run, running gas station on iPad 5.1 simulator. So it'll open. Now this is the iPad simulator. Of course I have a blank page at this point. So I'm going to go back to my Xcode and click on stop. So now you see the connection between run, stop, scheme, and the messages area. Now what is this all about? Breakpoints. This is the text editor area, right? We said that when we dissected the application. This is called the gutter in the text editor area. And if you can click here and set a breakpoint, which means that when I come to debugging, it'll stop here. It's called a breakpoint, and that is to deactivate breakpoints or activate all breakpoints. For example, I may have two in many locations, and I want to deactivate them all. So this is a quick way of deactivating them all: on, off, or one at a time, on, off. Well, actually they are deactivated at this point. So I'm going to activate them all, and one at a time deactivate it. Deactivate, activate. Now next one is the editor. Now this is quite complex. We'll look at it in a second, but this is an easy one. View. You see how there are two screens. There's a square, and on the left side you have a light gray and a dark gray. If I click on it, you see what happens. The navigator area is toggled on or off, on or off. Next one, it shows dark gray area at the bottom. So if I click it, it shows the debug area down there. Debug off, debug on. I don't want to see it right now. The third one is, you see the light area is on the right side. So if you guess, it'll toggle show hide this area, on and off. Now this one is called the editor. If I click the middle one, it opens up the assistant editor. For example, the first one may be the screen, a source code, and a header file is assistant to it, and we'll go into it in detail, but that's what this one does. I want to see the main screen. I want to see the assistant screen. I want to see the main screen. The third one here is show the version editor. If you have more than one editor versions going on, Xcode keeps track of different versions of the files as you edit them. And here the file was added, but I haven't made any changes, but that's what that's all about. I want to see it. I want to see my main file at this point. Up on the top, it tells me what project I'm in and what file I'm editing. Next one on this side here is open the organizer. I click on it, it takes a few seconds, brings up an organizer. I have all the projects listed that I had worked on. Click on devices. It'll show me all the devices that I have connected to my Mac. through the USB, and that'll be probably towards the end of this course. I don't have any right now. Repositories, these are all my projects, Hello World and all that. Projects, again, a different view of your repositories. Archives, as we go into make different versions and we archive them. Documentation, now very important. See these little icons, an eye, it shows you different kinds of documentation, the iOS 5.1 library and such. We are just interested in iOS 5.1 library and the Xcode developer library. Here's the finder if you want to find specific things. For example, if I type tag, click enter, search and find something. Now this is the book area. Bookmarks, if you set within the documentation, show up here. As you find documentation, you bookmark them to come back later. That's what that's all about. We'll come back to it later and look at in depth on how to search documentation in a few minutes. So that's all about the toolbar area. We'll look at navigator next. Another thing I failed to mention was that this button was tricky. It's one of a kind. If I click it and don't let go of the mouse button, we get a pop-up. It says either run, test, profile, or analyze. We are gonna go in detail into detail later on, but run is the most used one right now. But you should know where the test, profile, analyzes are. Click on the run button, hold it down for a second, and then you will get a pop-up. And not all the buttons do that, so that's kind of tricky. Like the stop button, if I click on it and I hold the button down for a second, it doesn't do anything. So the run button is a little unique.